Michael and I had each written a piece of music for our final assignment in fourth year jazz composition class at York University with David Mott. And a year or so went by after we graduated, and we said, wow, we should really hear that music again. We'd only heard it once. We spent months working on these tunes and never got to hear them again. So we decided to put a band together just to play that and maybe start writing again.
Paul phoned me up and he said, okay, I've booked a rehearsal in 6 weeks, so write some music.
So I started calling people, and they'd say, oh, sounds great. I can't do it, though. I'm busy that day. Why don't you call such and such? And after doing that for a couple weeks of calling people, I had names and names and names of instrumentalists.
We were surprised at the quality and caliber of player that was interested in doing it.
The people that weren't into it, they didn't stick around, and the ones that were into it suggested other people that might be good for us or whatever, and it just kind of built that way.
The Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra even though the leaders aren't around, has played at the Village Vanguard in New York every Monday night for, 20 years?
Something like that.
Some long period of time. And we had thought, well, geez, it'd be interesting if Toronto could have something like that. And where could we do it? And the Rex seemed an obvious choice because we thought we would get some new people in.
It's a street-level thing. It's Saturday afternoons. There's people out shopping. And I think from our perspective, it's been great for the band because we're playing every week. So that's obviously very positive. And we're exposing ourselves to a non-jazz audience in a way. We've been writing a lot of music and just bringing it in on a Saturday and springing it on the band with no rehearsal.
Yeah, today we have three new charts.
Something like that. Oh, it's crazy. But so we charge a very low cover, and before we play one of those tunes, we give a little speech about why you paid such a low cover, and then we go ahead and play the new music. And most of the time, it goes very well. And it actually adds, I think, it adds to the whole experience. And audience members have said that as well. That there's kind of an excitement of. Not only doesn't the audience know what's coming, the band has no idea what's coming.
Yeah, nor do the composers.
The composers don't even know. So.
This is a new tune of mine called Warm Orange. And we played it last week, but it's still a $3 tune, I think. And hope you liked it.
I've never been down here, and this is my first time down here. I love the big sound, and I thought the music's original. It's a kind of big band music that I've never heard before, but still familiar. And I thought they were quite together for the most part. And the number 3 song, Warm Orange, I thought was fabulous, perhaps one of my favorites. So even though it wasn't polished, I thought it was a great song.
I think that part of the appeal for this band, obviously they're not making a lot of money playing with us, nor are we. They're doing it because they love music. The reason they do this is because we're challenging them. I think, that we're throwing music that is good, they like it, but also that's challenging them as players And they know they're doing something different. I mean, because a lot of them do a lot of mainstream jazz work, or a lot of new music work, or R&B work, or whatever kind of work they do. And here they hear all these different elements thrown together in a pretty challenging way.
The music is not what we would consider to be typical big band jazz. There's a lot of shifts in style. For anybody who's musically literate, there's a lot of changes in the meter. In other words, whether it's in 3 or whether it's in 4 or 5, or changing back and forth. And the musicians are very good, but it's a challenge.
If I go into eighth note triplets, don't get confused, because sometimes I've been playing around. Okay.
So you want this tempo.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay, I see.
Okay.
All right, great.
I'll count the new tempo.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Da 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 da. Yeah.
I really like it because you've got the big band sound and the jazz sound. And I won't pretend that I'm an expert at jazz, but what I like is that they seem to have a basic sort of a tune. This is only the second time I've heard them. And then they all go off and sort of do their little thing, and then they all seem to come back.
I think one thing we do in terms of the writing is where mainstream big band writing generally focuses on the sections, and they're all sort of featured as sections with solos, obviously. We tend to approach it as every musician is a color that we can draw on, and 5 saxophones don't have to play at the same time. We can have a saxophone and a tuba, or a clarinet and a tuba, or whatever. We think whatever's appropriate to the texture we want at a given moment.
You think automatically right away you want it to go as far as possible. But I suppose there are limits to it. You know, we have lives to lead, and we have other musical sides too. You know, I have another band, Michael has another band, and we both are involved in different things. So we want to sell lots of records.
We want to sell lots of records. I mean, the Boss Brass have been around, what, 20 years?
Yeah.
25
even,
25
maybe.
years. And I'd like to do that. And I'd like to be able to, in 25 years, not necessarily be here, but maybe.
With tonight's entertainment and a big break for a group with a big band sound.
Yes, indeed, but no Chattanooga choo-choo for these guys. We're talking about NOJO, the Neufeld Occhipinti Jazz Orchestra, 2 guys who will make you rethink what big band is all about.
The girls' private school, Branksome Hall. Here, you're more likely to think kilts and cross-country running than big band jazz. But the folks in NOJO are here simply because it's one of the few rehearsal spaces big enough. Just one of the problems of having a band this size.
You can imagine, not only do you have to pick a location that sort of is convenient for 16 people, but all the calls that go out to coordinate a night when those people are mostly free, you know, and the odds of us getting 16 out of 16 are pretty slim, and that's, what are we, 14 out of 16 tonight, I think?
Yeah, and that's pretty good. So are the players, each in his or her own right, a talented soloist. The leaders, pianist Paul Neufeld and guitarist Michael Occhipinti. The two met at York University in the jazz program. Both wanted to compose and perform original compositions.
If you're interested in orchestration and you're interested in the color and the power that you can get from a lot of musicians, then a large ensemble starts to make a lot of sense.
NOJO's repertoire includes blues, funk, and even elements of traditional West African sounds.
There's so many different kinds of music that are grouped under the term jazz, and yet there's so many people out there that as soon as you say the word jazz, they're thinking of whatever that one thing is they're thinking of and dismissing it. And usually we find with NOJO, if we can get them in the seat, we can win them over.
NOJO performs Friday at the Du Maurier Theater.
And we should point out that they will be playing with Don Byron, who is an amazing clarinetist from New York.
And when I heard the tapes and CDs they sent me, you know, I was impressed with what they were trying to do.
Jazz is a strange word because it draws, like I said, NOJO draws on so many different traditions. But the improvisation and the compositions are, you know, the key.
We didn't set out to be a cutting-edge big band or an avant-garde big band or anything like that. We just wanted to write the music that, you know, reflected what we were interested in. But it struck a nerve, and a lot of people said it wasn't like anything anyone else was doing in Toronto. And so from there, we've had a good 3 years. You know, we were really happy when we recorded our first CD, and the fact that it won a Juno was a total surprise. Second CD was Juno nominated, and that was great too, you know. And now having Don Byron with us is kind of like the culmination of everything we've been striving for. Chi pensa se noi non ritorniamo a Toronto, ma infatti abbiamo qui in Italia?
It's a beautiful place. We're having a wonderful time. We're eating good food. We're meeting nice people. We're playing in beautiful theaters. I think there's a lot of reason to stay. If we could find a way to get our families over here and relocate the whole thing, it might be nice.
Sì, forse prendiamo le famiglie, Madeline, tua figlia, Lona, tua moglie.
If I could bring Alona and little Madeline.
Ah, little Madeline, anche se mia moglie, veniamo qui.
Yeah.
Sì.
Don Byron, che è stato a Oviedo Jazz Winter quest'anno.
The thing about NOJO that I like a lot is that there's a real, they're taking a lot of different things. They're drawing on all kinds of different things to put their music together. And I think that's really kind of a, I don't want to say trend but it's kind of the way things are, I think, are going in jazz now in the 1990s.
The NOJO as a band, it's a group that's just made up of musicians that have all, perfecting their craft, and they come in there and they just sort of do it.
NOJO is rather unique as far as large band ensembles go. It tries to capture a small group mentality, and it is also very eclectic.
Humor is just the reactions players have to the music when they first come in sometimes. We've had guys come in and say, just when you think it's cruising along, you're playing your sax solo, and it's just, then something comes and smacks you on the head, just out of nowhere.
I remember the first time I played a particular solo. It's a really slow blues with a triplet feel, but it comes in all of a sudden after something completely different. And it had been the first time I'd played the chart before. I hadn't heard it before, so I wasn't sure, where the time was going. And all of a sudden, the band sort of drops out, and then I have to play the melody, which is a kind of a strange melody over top of this blues. And I thought I was totally wrong because it kind of sounds crazy at first, but then I got over the shock.
In October, jazz fans in Kapuskasing got a real treat when NOJO came to town. NOJO is named after its two co-leaders, pianist Paul Neufeld and guitarist Michael Occhipinti, and is a 16-piece jazz orchestra whose influences include Charles Mingus and Gil Evans. And for fans in town, the arrival of NOJO was something they'll remember for a long time.
I've just been watching the NOJO jazz band, and it's actually a very entertaining and good show. Really good jazz.
I haven't been to a concert like this in a long time, and usually I'm used to something like more in Montreal or Ottawa area, but this is good entertainment for this area up here, and I'm thankful that they came up.
Was excellent. It's really nice to see that a band from Toronto would take the time to drive all the way up to Kapuskasing to play for us and to give us such a 2 hours of good solid jazz music. It was just incredible to be a witness to it.
I think what was witnessed here by everyone, the vast majority, far surpassed expectations. A lot of us were unsure of what to expect a live jazz orchestra in Kapuskasing, but the music is original, it's fresh, the people responded. You can tell that what these musicians present has a little bit of us all in it, a little bit of the blues, a little bit of funk, you name it, it was there this evening.
Hello, I'm Marianne Sadra, and this is The Box Tonight, your #1 source for local events in the Kapuskasing area. Last week, we featured the music of the Toronto-based jazz group NOJO, but while they were in town, they didn't only play. They also passed on some of their musical knowledge to a new generation.
Oh, I thought it was really great. It was very informative about all the kinds of different jazz, and it helped me a lot because I'm going into that in school.
Well, this session with NOJO was very enlightening. I learned how to improvise and mainly learn how to play a bit more. Learn how to growl on my saxophone.
Yeah, I think it would help me out because I like my music, so I could improvise more now and get my own songs going.
Today's workshop was excellent. It was done by people who obviously know their music, and they did a great job of just showing us some different things on improvisation and how to play music spontaneously and creatively, and it was excellent.
Exclusive service of regional cable systems. One to watch.
Hi, I'm Paul Neufeld from NOJO. You're watching The Box, local events and more.
It's different every time you play. Sometimes you're maybe more serious and sometimes having more fun with it. Depends what you're playing, what the music requires of you. Some music you know well enough you could play in your sleep and you can have a lot of fun with them. And others you may have to make sure that you don't space out.
I'm a composer concerned with the challenge of writing for improvising musicians and giving them a context and giving them material that will allow them simultaneously to express themselves with that material. Every piece, in a way, is a collaboration. I write it all out, but then whoever I give the solos to throws their thing into it, and it becomes a joint effort.
To think of a melody that first note you hit and where that takes you. And I'd say that's about the only thing that's going on. It's hard to do that though because you know it's tricky. You're not always going to be like that, you know, on top of it, like just that free of a thinker every night.
When I stand up, I try to react to the moment. Talking to other jazz musicians, they always talk about the years and years of study, learning all the theory you can, but then at that moment you should really just let it become part of you. Forget about the technical stuff and just let that come out.
It's a real band that's based on melody, you know? Melody coming from different directions, from different instruments.
So much of the music is a feeling or a gesture, or they're trying to create an atmosphere in the music. And even though some of it is discordant, it still drives itself on with the rhythm and the energy. And people, when I look out on the audience, even if they don't understand what's going on, they really enjoy the energy.
I think it's important for people to try things, you know, for the sake of trying those things. You know, what happens if you do this or explore this?